The second Noel. The first Noel was in the beginning of things, when all was covered with ice and snow. There were no waterholes because they were all frozen over. A great rhino came forth, and with its horn it dug down below the snow and was able to forage. There was also a bison who could sweep aside the snow with its horns. The rhino began building a midden mound, and the dung became warm as it fermented, steaming, melting the ice and snow, and around it formed a lake from the meltwaters. The dung mound continued to warm until there burst from it the sun, rolled into the sky by a dung beetle. Then upon the mound grew the first reeds, and a yellow wagtail landed on a reed, and with its song announced the start of a new season of the world. This was a gentle, mild time. The grasses and flowers flourished in the water meadows. The first human couple, called by some Shu and Tefnut, and by others Yama and Yami, were created and placed on the island. Then, however, the bison strayed into the rhino's territory, attempting to graze on the fertile meadows there, which led to a battle between the two giants. During the fight, the bison was gored in the side by the rhino's horn. It died from its wounds, and where its blood spilled out on the land, it made ochre deposits. Yama and Yami took this ochre and mixed it with fat from the bison's stomach to make a paint. They then used this paint to make more bison, painting a herd into being on the walls of a rock shelter, then calling the animals out of the rock. Using more paint, they painted more animals of different types into being in this way, which populated the earth. Things were in a state of flux, and an order emerged in which each organism had a place. Some creatures played important roles in maintaining this order. So, for example, in some places the forests would have grown impenetrably thick if the elephants hadn't made paths through them that the other animals could use. Such creatures that engineer ecosystems in important ways are known as the keystone species. The spirit of the first bison rose into the sky and became the Taurus constellation beside the celestial river, the Milky Way, and it dwells there still in that heavenly water meadow where the climate is always mild and gentle, just as it was at this time on the earth. When Yama would eventually die, the first human to die, he too rose into this starry meadow, ascending with the head of a hawk to merge with the stars of the Gemini constellation to the left of Taurus. The yellow wagtail became stars in the region of Canis Minor, and the rhino became stars in the region of Leo. On Earth, however, the temperature continued to warm. Where grass grew long and then died and lay around on the plains, this was a fire risk in this warmer, drier weather. An increase in fires led to less trees, which meant less of the great animals like elephants and giraffes that fed on them. So the wildebeest was created. The great herds of wildebeest grazed on the grasses, returning nutrients to the ground as dung. This kept the pastures fresher and greener, reducing the fire risk, so the trees could return and so could the elephants and giraffes. So the wildebeest was another keystone. Other keystones were the beetles that fed on the dung and used it to make homes for their young, and in doing so removed dung from the surface of the plains, pulling it down into the ground and improving the fertility of the pastures. Or there were the apex predators such as lions and leopards that played vital roles in moving grazing animals around and reducing their numbers. Without this, the pastures would soon have been overgrazed. So the vast herd moved around the plains in a great annual migration. As the weather continued to warm, there came about the second Noel, a time of heat and dryness and dust. The water holes had all dried up and all the animals were thirsty. Now a great elephant went forth across the land, plodding through the red dusty scrub in search of water. A thirsty baboon knew it was wise to follow the elephant, so it did so, keeping its distance to see where it went. The elephant came in time to a dry riverbed and with its tusks and trunk and feet, it began to dig and eventually came to water. The baboon who had been following arrived, watching from a distance, and saw the elephant drinking its fill. When eventually the elephant left to go and find food, the baboon went to take its turn at the new waterhole, then went back to tell the other animals, and one after another, different animals came to the waterhole and took a drink. Meanwhile, the elephant continued to other places, making waterholes. As it went, it made interconnecting pathways across the plains. Whenever it released dung, these dung balls made the copies that are still found on the Great Plains to this day. As each waterhole ran dry, the various animals followed the paths the elephant had made, and in this way came to the other waterholes, and these paths still crisscross the Great Plains. Hippos moved into some of the bigger waterholes and created deep hippo highways between them and their preferred feeding grounds. Eventually, the great elephant made a particularly large waterhole, and it filled its trunk with water. Then, after making a deep, rumbling, earth-shaking roar to announce the start of a new season of the world, it raised its trunk skywards and created a great spray that filled the sky and showered down over the plains. The hippo highways flooded, allowing swamplands to expand. A great dance was held to celebrate the coming of the rains, and during this, the elephant entered trance and became a part of the land, merging into the rock, where it dreams still. Then, one by one, each of the keystones followed suit, entering the dreaming, becoming landscape creature features,